Hi, Hearts. I'm here to speak about something that has been deeply misunderstood. Not only in relationships, but in the way we love, the way we receive, and the way we build anything real in this life. This is not a talk about romantic feelings. It's a transmission on the integrity of love. Love that remains. Love that takes form, love that chooses truth, even when it is not comfortable, not instant, not easy. I don't teach love as a feeling. I teach love as matter, as the only force on earth that can stay, hold, build, return, and become real. And there are so many people who feel deeply. They feel love, inspiration, passion, purpose, connection. And it is beautiful. But feeling is not what makes love real. Because love without form cannot remain. It may move you, it may inspire you, it may shake you, but it will not stay unless you give it ground, unless you let it land. That's why I always say love is not proven by how deeply you feel it, but how deeply you let it remain. Many people believe they are giving love, but what they actually give is attention, excitement, admiration, emotional dependency, possession, the desire to hold something that makes them feel good. But that is not love. We know it's not love because it doesn't stay, it doesn't build, it doesn't hold responsibility, it doesn't become real. What real love always chooses. True love, in its purest form, always seeks stability. Not control, not clinginess, not proof, but stability. Because love, if it is true, naturally looks for a place to become real. In a real life, on earth, love chooses any form that can remain. In relationships, it's presence, devotion, responsibility, choice. In home, it's building, caring, protecting, growing. In spiritual work, it's offering, exchange, time, honor. And in the space of clients, it chooses money. Not as proof of love, but as love that has chosen to take form. Because love without form cannot stay. And love that chooses to stay always takes form. How this integrity of love expresses in my work, in my teaching. I do not reject people. I do not judge who is worthy or unworthy. That is not love. I simply cannot remain in places where love refuses to become real. Because love that doesn't grow eventually starts to take. It starts to feed on projection, fantasy, dependence, words, but never becomes matter. And I refuse to participate in that. Not because I am harsh, but because I am loyal to love. Here, I want to make an invitation into maturity. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be fully healed. You don't need to earn love. But You do need to let love take shape. That is what I call integrity. Integrity doesn't mean never failing or never falling. It means letting love land and letting it stay. It means letting love be responsible, letting love be chosen, not chased, letting love be carried, not merely felt, letting love become matter, not just emotion. And why people circle around love but never land. Some people spend years, even decades, circling the gates of love in relationships, in money, in purpose. They feel it, they dream about it, they talk about it, but they don't let it land. They don't let it take form through commitment, through presence, through structure, through investment, through embodiment. They are waiting for love to feel perfectly safe before they make it real. But love doesn't come after safety. Love creates safety when it is chosen. And that choice is what I call landing. And why I combine love and money. People sometimes ask me, why do you mix love and money? Because they come from the same stream. Not from effort, not from chasing, not from giving endlessly, but from what you allow to stay. Love and money don't come from what you give, they come from what you allow to remain. Money, for me, is how love becomes matter in the client space. It is not proof, it is not payment for time. It is love that decides to stay, to build, to hold weight, to be real. So that's why I don't work for free, not because I don't want to help, but because love that refuses to become real refuses to stay. And I'm not here for immature forms of love, not because they are wrong, but because they cannot remain. They get inspired but don't invest. They admire but don't build. They feel but don't give love form. And that is not wrong. It's simply not ready. And I don't push them, I don't convince them, I don't educate them into maturity. I stand at the ground where love becomes real. And only those ready to let love land will join. But you don't need to be ready. You need to be willing. Love doesn't ask if you are perfect. Love doesn't wait for ideal timing. Love only asks, will you let me become real? Will you let me stay? Because when love stays, it becomes life-changing, life-changing. It becomes structure, foundation, home, reality. And that is what I built in my private containers and my consciousness destinations. They are building grounds, not places where you visit love, but where you build with love. Where love becomes architecture, where love becomes matter, where what you once felt finally becomes your life. So if something in you knows that your love wants to become real, not just felt, not just talked about, but lived, held, built, embodied, then this is your place. Love that is ready doesn't circle, it lands. So integrity of love is what I stand on. And if you say you love deeply, but your love never seems to land, never becomes real, never builds anything that stays, that then maybe it's not that your love is too fragile. Maybe it's just circulating in the wrong frequency. You call it devotion, but it's attachment. You call it connection, but it's projection. You call it waiting for the right time, but it's postponing your own truth. How do we know? Because you are not with him. Not because love failed, but because love was never truly the ground. Possibility was, hope was, need was. And we need to be extremely truthful in this. But love, real love, does not wait forever at the gates. Real love builds, real love lands, and real love becomes matter. And here's the paradox. It was never about him. You can't lose a man you never built love with. You only lose the illusions you were building with him. Real love doesn't just make you feel more, it makes you become more. It doesn't hold you in longing, it moves you into landing. So you don't miss him, you miss the version of love you have not yet built. And please understand, I do not say these things from a throne of superiority. I say them from the ground where I myself have been cracked, stretched, rebuilt again and again by love. I know what it feels like to love someone so deeply that it reshapes your entire nervous system. To know with every cell, this is my person, and yet be held at a distance, walk alone, still wonder if this is love, then why does it hurt like hell? I know the ache of waiting by a door that doesn't open until one day you realize the door was never meant to open. It was only meant to shape you. Not to punish, not to torture, but to refine you, so that the love you carry can become clear, clean, deep, true, than the love you once chased, performed, or begged for. I do not call out immaturity to shame anyone. I call it out because I have lived it. I have waited, I have hoped, I have doubted myself. I have worshipped potential. I have mistaken longing for love. And that's why I can now say love is never torture. Love is never chaos disguised as destiny. Love is not what keeps you circling. It's what finally lets you land. So when I see so many so-called twin flames walking around the gates of love for years, not growing, not building, not becoming, just circling, longing, hurting, I don't judge them. I recognize them. And that is why I now teach this. Love is not what you chase. Love is what finally lets you land. You don't wait for love. You become a place where love can stay. And when you do, everything changes, even him or even without him. Because love, real love, is never dependent on who returns. It is expressed by what remains. And for those who love like aliens, I even understand why so many of you don't know how to let love become real. Why you resist form, structure, commitment, matter, not because you are irresponsible, but because you were never really bodily types. You feel like love, but you don't feel like ground. You feel like a frequency, not a foundation. You love deeply, intensely, purely, but you don't know where to place it. Because what you see around you, all those conventional relationships, those flat versions of love that wants proof, performance, guarantees, control, that's not your home. That's not your language. So you wander with honest hearts, but no map, full of love, but with nowhere for it to land. You want to receive, but you don't know how without losing yourself. You want to give, but you don't know how much without disappearing. You want to stay, but you don't know how without shrinking. You are not lost. You are not too much. You are simply not yet landed. And I know truly, because I was one of you. Love shaped me, stripped me, emptied me, until it finally taught me something too sacred to ignore. Love is not a feeling. Love is architecture. It needs structure, stability, matter. It needs ground to become real. And that is why I am here. Not to collect admirers, not to educate, but to be a landing zone for those rare ones who love like aliens but are ready to become architects. I don't teach love, I let love land. And once it lands, it becomes real, it becomes yours. And yes, it often looks like money because that's what love looks like when it finally chooses to stay. So your love was never weak. It was never too much, too intense, too sensitive, too dramatic. It was just looking for ground, a form, a structure, a place where it could actually land, stay, and become real. Your love isn't broken, it's just alien, and it's looking for land.